If you have clicked on this video, I bet you are curious to know more about myself, GoCanada, what I offer, and if you stick to the end, you get to know more about how I can help you on your next Canada trips. So hello and welcome back to my channel GoCanada. My name is Diego, your Swiss-born expert for Western Canada travels, tips, trip ideas, and today I'll introduce myself, the channel GoCanada, what I can offer and how I can help you. Let's dive in with the first point where I want to introduce who am I. Ever since I've visited Canada the first time when I was an 11 years old boy, it blew me away right from the start. And that is because we were in a restaurant called Landmark Hotel. It's not there anymore, unfortunately, but it has this, or had this, turning restaurant at the top. And it was so outstanding, this experience, because we were able to see the whole skyline of the city while eating breakfast. And you got the chance to see how beautiful the city is. As you see, the city is surrounded by mountains and it's located directly next to the sea. And that view, that feeling, that blew me away, burned deeply into my heart and my soul, and it really felt or left a mark on my heart. And even deepened when we started to travel and explore the country even further. And that led ultimately us to visit our friends that moved over from Canada, from Switzerland to Canada. And we had such a ton of fun there that it was such a experience for us, not only for me, for all of us, but in this case, it was so deep for myself that I can't and wasn't able to stop talking about me. And even when we got back home, I had this feeling of homesickness. It really felt like home from the start, like love at first sight. And that's when my parents decided that they allow me to go there on my own to see my friends, our friends in Canada, on an almost yearly basis. And that led actually to the point that those friends turned to be and became family in the end. We have a super close relationship. And that also started with another thing, especially with that people started asking me where to go, what to do, travel tips, itineraries, and so on and so forth. And at one point I even had and wanted to move to Canada, but that's actually when I met my future wife, my love of my life, and my plans changed completely. But that was also a bit the starting point of GoCanada, because at that moment I started thinking, okay, well, my wife would come with me to Canada, but that wouldn't work out. So the relationship was and is important for me. And now we have two beautiful kids. I started thinking how I can turn my passion into my full-time job. So the starting point for GoCanada. And why is that? Because all the time where people started asking me about Canada or trip ideas, it felt like my heart was starting to warm up. It really was soothing for my heart and my soul. And that's how I knew I like that. I'm good at it, and let's see where I end up with it. And that brings me with that also already to the second point here, about GoCanada. What is GoCanada about? So I started thinking how I can turn my passion into my job or side hustle. And then I came up with the idea of building a blog page. First in German. I started out really rudimentary. I didn't have any clue how to build pages or anything else. And that didn't change until I took a blog course, how to create a blog page, how to do everything. And that's also where I started to think more properly about how I can take that to a new level. And what I figured out early, though, also with my travels and visits to Italy, is that when you go to a place and want to eat or dine out at one point or at one location, if you're not prepared beforehand, you end up eating at the first best place. And as in Italy or also in Vancouver, if you just go to the first best place, you most likely end up in not super fancy, but not really good restaurant. It's just basic. And we all know that when you're in travel and the trip ends with us, want to end the holiday with a special place, with a boom, right? And if that experience at the end is not so great, especially Vancouver that has so much to offer food-wise, and you can easily end up in one of the chain restaurants that aren't really special and don't offer anything really extraordinary, yeah, you know what I mean, then you might end up seeing the trip as not as good as it really was. You can have your blast of time, you can have fun and everything, but the ending isn't so great, then you will think of this trip as, no, it wasn't so good, I won't go there anymore. And that's what I want to avoid with GoCanada. And then I started thinking, okay, how I can make it happen and fly out of Switzerland. And the first test I did, and I changed my approach a bit, is I did a lot of research beforehand to find great places, places to see, must visits, from then to restaurants, then to other attractions or adventures. And I was able to test that the first time when I was invited to a wedding many years ago, and went through a checklist I created, went all to these places I wanted to see, and look at that. It was such a great experience. I have never seen Vancouver this way before, and it was so good to do it. And then I said, well, that seems to work. Let's give it another try, another test. And then I went again with my oldest daughter. That was the second time for her, and did the same approach. I looked for special places. I went through places where we could eat, experiences we could do together. And she was so happy, and she had so much fun that she was actually addicted right afterwards. So we had another Canada addict in our family. As you might think, my wife wasn't super happy about it. But that's what I figured out. Okay, that's the approach I can do. That's what I can offer. It works. And that's what I wanted to achieve with my blog post, to show people where they can eat, lesser known places, lesser known attractions, hidden gems, and ultimately also things like where you can go and see places that aren't that well known. And even if you want to see the must-see places, like in Banff or Jasper, how you can experience that all for yourself, or mostly for yourself, without the crowds. And that's how my motto started coming up, where I said, okay, I want to find and see places where locals would go. And that's actually the name of my motto, travel like locals. And that brings me to the third point on the list, what I can offer. And what I try to achieve with GoCanada is to create examples of itineraries or trip ideas with lesser known things to do, or lesser known spots, or even must-see attractions like Millennium Lake in Jasper, or in Banff we go to the hot springs, or see Banff in the morning, or see Lake Louise with Moran Lake as an addition. How you can experience these things without the crowds. And that's what I'll try to achieve with my blog post. And as I said, I don't know if I said it already, I figured out that I'm better with spoken words than with written words. That's why I've started this channel. And I want to show you how you can experience this country through the eyes of a local. And there's so many things that this country offers, so many great options that leaves you breathless, and also will addict you like it did with me to go there again and again and again. And with GoCanada, I want to show you how you find these places. I can show you these places, give you ideas, itinerary ideas I built pre-templated itineraries that you can use for yourself, and also give you another ideas, alternatives to the great spots, the hot spots, for example. And that's actually what brings me to the next point, how it can help you. So what I'll do is I'll do the research beforehand. So I do the legwork for you. And then I put them into a video of trip ideas or must-see spots that are lesser known, or how to avoid crowds, for example. And by the way, if you click up here, you find a list of itinerary ideas that you can use as a building block in your next travel to Western Canada, for example. So I'll find these spots for you so you don't have to do it. So my idea is to help you with your next trip, saving yourself time and money, and show you also tricks and tools that you can use to achieve that. For example, I use Wanderlog or Mindtrip. That helps me tons to create trips and saves me a lot of time. And I can show you how you can do that by yourself. Or of course, you can always contact me and ask for my help to build yourself, that I build for you a tailored itinerary. That's what I did of an ex-working colleague of mine that asked me already the second time to build an itinerary for them. And for a detailed itinerary, depends how much detailed it is and how many days, I'll charge from $60 to $90. And for them, I really built a very detailed itinerary with places where to eat, where to stay, budget-friendly options, campsites, then must-see attractions for the kids, and always with the idea in mind to get to places that are lesser known and less crowded. And with that, to summarize it a bit, how it can help you is actually, I'll do the legwork for you that you don't have to do it. I'll save you a ton of time to make your trip and your dream trip come true. And I show you the tools that you can use to do that by yourself, or you'll ask me for some help and I will be more than happy to do it. As I said, for me, it's like going through the things is for me soothing. I just love to do it because I can immerse myself really deeply into it, and afterwards I tell and talk about for ages with my wife and she can't hear it anymore. No, I hope this video helped you. So you see, with GoCanada, I want you to make it happen, that you travel like locals do too, and that you have an idea how to create your itineraries, or at least you know where to ask, right? As you see, with GoCanada, I want that you can travel like locals do too. And if you have enjoyed this video, then hit the subscribe button, follow me for future videos, and also, if you know better travel hacks than I do, just hit the comments below, or if you have any questions, ask them in the comments, or if you need help, you can also write me an email. You find that in my description of my channel. And if there's anything else that you want to mention on what your travel hacks are, like I mentioned before, just mention them below. And with that, hey, thank you for your time. Thank you for watching. See you soon. Tschüss zusammen, arrivederci, and see you later.